Hello everybody, it's Mr. Second Amendment with a quick video here how to field strip and clean a 1911 style pistol. Now of course there's many different types of 1911s. You got the full size, commander, officer size, everything in between. You've got full length guide rods, the standard 1911 Browning design of the guide rod system. You've got bushingless 1911s. There's all kinds of different variations. What we're going to cover today is your basic 1911, and of course there's 70 series, 80 series, anything like that. This is your basic 1911. I think it's going to serve you well regardless of whatever type of 1911 you have. And I'm going to show you the different ways to do the main different types of recoil systems. So let's get started with it. First we're going to make sure it's unloaded, and we can do that. I'm going to get us in focus here, and we can see that there is nothing in the chamber. Okay, and we can do a physical inspection, just the pinky, so we can make sure I feel that there's nothing in there. Okay, so it is unloaded, and we can go ahead, rack it a couple times so we know this gun is safe. We are still going to treat it loaded, of course, and keep it pointing in a safe direction. Okay, moving on. First thing I like to do is put it on safe and tilt it upwards. That's especially why you make sure it's unloaded before you start. Okay, now what we're going to be doing, we're going to get us in the detailed focus here. Alright, we are going to be pushing in the end cap of our recoil spring, and as I'm pushing it in, then I can slide my bushing over to the left. Okay, see how that works? So I push that in, and as I push in, I slide to the left. Now I got to be careful because this spring is under a lot of pressure. If I were just to slide the bushing all the way left and let go, this end cap and the recoil spring is going across the room or hitting me in the face. So I got to be careful. I'm going to keep this covered with this cleaning brush. Okay, and I'm kind of coasting it out. I'll take that off, and I'll go ahead and pull the recoil spring out. And I'm going to rotate the bushing all the way to the right now. And now I can go ahead and lift it off. Now those of you guys who have match competition style 1911s, you got a gold cup, trophy, all that stuff, that was probably not that easy. You're going to need what's called a bushing wrench, which is a plastic or polymer profiled wrench for this, that you have to yank it that way and then yank it the other way. Usually on a custom accuracy 1911, that's going to be a very tight fit. This, of course, it's a carry gun. You've seen it in 1911 practice. I've got all my EDC videos going up there. And concealed carry doctrine, why not throw that in there? But you've seen this in that, and this is a reliability 1911. Accuracy suits me fine for what it does. Okay, moving on. Next thing I'm going to do, take it off safe and get us back in focus here. I'm going to pull the slide all the way back until I hit that point. Okay, and this guy right here is called your takedown notch. So right until I hit that, I can see the inside of the slide stop. Okay, now what I'm going to be doing, I'll turn this around. I need to take the button here, which is basically the other side of your slide stop. I need to push that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate. I'm going to give you a bottom view. Okay, so step one, line it up. Okay, step two, and you can see as I push, right, so I push and it comes out. I'll use a fingernail or a small screwdriver just to pull it out, just like that. Set that to the side. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push off the slide forward off of the frame. Okay, and I do have this guy right here. This is your recoil spring plunger just sitting there, and I'm going to go ahead and leave that to the side, and I'll just pull that off. Okay, now it does help some 1911s, depending on the tolerances and how well broken in it is. You may have to put your barrel, this is called your barrel length, you may have to put that forward. Okay, so we just pull the barrel outside of the front of the frame. There it is. For those of you guys who are Glock or XD or M&P guys, you're used to having to pull the barrel backwards. On a 1911, that's not the case. You got to pull it forwards, and you got to reinsert it from the forward position. Okay, so now I've installed the full-length guide rod to show you how to take it apart if that's what you have. Okay, so how do I take this apart? Well, we're going to put the safety back on, and of course we've already made sure it was unloaded. Now this has a distinctly different look. Here's your standard M1911 John Browning design. Okay, but this is hollow on the inside. I'll show you when it comes out. So really the steps are not different. I'm going to take something such as this, and I'm going to keep that down. I'm going to rotate this off and kind of coast it off. Okay, so that came out of there. End cap comes off. Recoil spring comes off. Of course you can see that full-length guide rod. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get back in focus, and I'm going to rotate this to the right and then go ahead and pull off my bushing again. So really nothing functionally, basically mechanically has changed that much. Okay, there we go. And I'll go ahead, take it off safe, get back to my takedown notch, and push it back out, pull my takedown notch out, and I'll just go ahead and take this out. And I have to kind of pull back and get the guide rod out, and I'll push my barrel length forward and I'll pull it out of the frame. Depending on what type of full-length guide rod you have, you may need an Allen key or hex key. If you have a Kimber style full-length guide rod, you may have to use a paper clip or a very fine small type of object. So there's many different changes and variations in the design. Okay, so generally I'm just going to spray or add my solvent. Right now I'm using the Hops Elite. It's pretty much M-Pro 7 gun cleaner. And I'm just going to take my brush. I want to make sure that I scrub the bolt face. Okay, now I can take this apart further. I can get my extractor. I can get the firing pin stop, the firing pin, and the spring. I can get that all out of here, but for a regular range visit or a regular field strip, really not going to be necessary. And if we don't want to put, if we don't have to put that wear and tear on the parts, then let's not do it. And if you're fanatical like me, you're going to take a Q-tip and kind of get in there. You can kind of see what you're missing right there, a little bit of carbon coming off. Okay, you can even get a pipe cleaner to get into that very small groove right in there. And I also want to be sure to get the frame, so I'm going to spray a little bit of solvent in there. I'm just going to go ahead and start brushing. You want to brush all this around. If you have the brake cleaner or gun scrubber or something of that nature, that's going to be totally fine here. I would worry a little bit depending on what kind of grips you have. If they're wood grips, you may have an issue there. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and take, again, if you're fanatical like me, you want to worry about the little crevices and details, you'll take a Q-tip and kind of get in here. Carbon does like to build up in here. Okay, and you can see some of it's coming out right now. I also like to take a patch with my AR brush and just run it through the magazine well, and I like to do that just to make sure there's no dust or dirt or solvent or anything like that still in there. And there's many different methods and ways to do the barrel. I'm going to use the M-Pro 7 bore gel. And again, if you've seen my other videos, I'm not a poster child. I'm not set up with any brand or company. I don't have any type of sponsorships or anything like that. I just like what works, and if it doesn't work, I call it out. Okay, I'm the average guy just like you. I'm just trying to make it work. And I think that would be doing everybody a disservice if I had some type of benefits or kickbacks or something. Okay, so I'm going to take the bore snake. This is a 45 caliber bore snake. What I can do is either use the bore gel, or I can just give the, I like to give the brush portion a little bit of a spray right there. And I like to coat the solvent all over. If you have your Hops number 9, you can just dip this portion into the little can there. And I'm just going to go ahead, push that through. I'll probably do that about 2 or 3 times. With the amount of rounds I put through this gun, probably 100 rounds a week. Okay, there's not, really a big need to oil the barrel as much just because there's so much going on. If I was looking into a long-term storage situation, I would probably be a little more interested in putting oil down the barrel, but I'm not really as worried. But if I am going to put oil down the barrel, I'll show you how I would do that. And I'm going to stop the bore snake right about here. Okay, this would be the time you can take your oil of choice. Right now I'm using the Winchester 44. Which is honestly the closest thing I've ever found to CLP, real CLP. I'm not talking about the Safariland break-free stuff, actual issue CLP. Okay, that's the Winchester 44. And I'm just going to kind of put it right where that bore snake is meeting the barrel. That's really a little bit too much, but just so you can see it there. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull that thing through. And I don't know if I can get this thing in focus here. Got a nice coat of oil down the barrel there. Okay, I think I actually made it worse. And also be sure to you can grab the small end of the AR brush and just get the carbon off of the crown of the barrel. And don't forget that your slide stop gets a little bit of carbon, so I'll just go ahead and brush it out. That's pretty much all it needs. Alright, now it's time to put it back together. So if I'm using the standard John Browning 1911 recoil spring setup, then I'm going to start with the barrel, and definitely want to drop some lubrication. Hopefully I can get in focus here. I want to drop some lubrication right here on these barrel lugs. Okay, and I don't really mind. I can always buy oil, but if my gun starts to rust or it's got some premature wear because I didn't oil it, okay, then I got to buy new gun parts or maybe even a new gun entirely. Depending on how bad it is. So I don't mind using a little extra oil, at least at first. I can always, and I should, brush off the extra oil once it's done. Okay, so first I'm going to take that slide, and again, we load through the front, and I'm just going to insert that barrel. And you'll notice it'll stop at some point, but you just got to jiggle it, and get it into, you can kind of see it right there. If you stop a little soon, you want to make sure you got all the way fully to the rear. Okay, next we're going to take our recoil spring guide, a little tiny one that the John Browning design comes with. And you're going to notice there is a right and a wrong way to use a recoil spring. One end of your recoil spring is closed off, the other end is fully open. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to take your closed off end and put it onto either your recoil spring guide or whatever this setup is for you, you want to put it there. You always want to have your open end towards the outside world, is the best way to remember it, at least for me. Okay, we're going to take it. I like to keep it upside down for now so things don't get messed up, and I feed that spring through right in front of where the dust cover goes. Yes, 1911 has a dust cover on the frame. And okay, so I have it sitting like that. As you can see, the oil situation's a little bit intense, but that's okay. This is a parkerized finish. It's meant to soak in the oil, so that's not going to be a problem. I can just wipe it off. Okay, next, I can either lubricate the inside of the slide, or I can go towards my frame, and I'm going to choose the frame. And I like the applicator tip here because I'm just going to drop a little bit of oil just like that. And because of that open hole, I won't be able to get it on the other side. And we'll come to the right side of the frame, drop a little bit of oil. Now with enough slide racking, it'll be able to disperse that amongst the whole frame, so I'm not worried about that. And I'm going to take a little bit of oil, and I do want to finger apply. I'll get back in focus here. And I do want to apply a little bit of finger oil right here on this track of the slide. This is actually where your disconnector rubs on the slide, so I'll add a little bit of oil there. And I'm just going to go ahead. And again, I keep it upside down. It just works for me. And I match the two up. You're matching it right here, okay? And you're matching it right on the slide where it interfaces. Okay, just like that. You can see the oil is self-spreading right now, which is good. And just going to go ahead and click it together. Now you can see already, I'll flip it this way. Okay, you can see that barrel link wants to sometimes line up and sometimes not. So I want to line it up. Right now we're lined up. Even though my takedown notch needs to be back here, I don't care about that right now. So what I'm going to do is I want to lubricate my slide stop, particularly on the lug right here, because this is where all the friction, all the movement, a lot of forces are going on right here. And I'll drop a little bit on the inside, finger apply. Okay, and kind of tilting the gun just kind of flat parallel to the deck. I'm going to insert that, rotate it around. Now this is where I want to avoid the dreaded idiot scratch. Unfortunately, I bought this off the rental wall, so you know what it is what it is. But if you have a good 1911 or you don't want to scratch it, that happens from pushing down and sliding into the frame. So what you want to do is just stage it right there. Push your slide stop notch right there, and what I'm doing is I'm applying down and inward pressure, and I want to apply downward because I don't want it to skip and scratch my slide either. Okay, it'll just snap in place. Some 1911s are not going to be as friendly, and what you can do is you can take a small screwdriver and push your detent plunger basically in. You push it that way to allow for clearance. Do what you got to do, just do it carefully so you don't scratch your slide. Okay, it's in, and I should be able to preview right now. I should be able to preview full function of the slide. Okay, and that means I've done it right. Now I'm going to go ahead and click it in the safe position, and I'm going to grab my bushing, and I'm going to go ahead and lubricate the bushing a little bit. I know that's out of focus, but you get the idea. And I do want to bring it in focus because I do like to lubricate the inside right there. And just drop it in. Now you'll notice this is lubrication city right now. There's way too much oil all over this gun, and that's actually okay. This is a carry gun. I do carry it every day. I sweat on it. It does get wet sometimes, so a little bit more oil is going to be okay. Okay, I'm going to take my plunger here, and I'll just go ahead, drop some oil, finger apply, and I'll drop that on. And again, I'm pushing down, rotating to the right, and it should click. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do it if you have a standard full-length guide rod. So I'm going to skip all the lubrication parts because they're still lubricated here. And again, I'm going to insert the barrel from the forward to the rear. I'm going to make sure that the top of the barrel is lined up with the slide. And in this case, I did not lubricate the guide rod yet, so I'm going to do that now and get us back in focus here. And just going to drop some lubrication on there and just go ahead and finger apply. Now what's interesting about this is my approach is going to be a little different. So first I'm going to take my guide rod and I'm going to insert it into there, and I have to make sure that you can see the barrel profile that is rotated there. And that's actually the same for the government, the standard Browning design. Okay, I'm going to make sure I lubricate my frame rails or the inside of my slide. And again, now notice how there is no spring. I guess I could use the spring now, but I'm going to keep it out. Okay, I'm going to hit it just like that. I'm going to do my barrel length fit to make sure it's fit. I'm going to grab my slide stop, drop it in, and it may have to kind of jiggle. I'm kind of previewing right now to make sure everything's functional. And I'm going to stage my slide stop, get us in focus there. Stage it right there, go ahead and push down and into it so I don't skip and scratch the slide. Push forward, safety on. I'm going to go ahead and rotate it up. So you can see mechanically it's not very much different. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to grab my bushing, insert it to the right, at least if you're viewing the gun from the wrong direction. And I'm going to go all the way to the left. Again, the closed end goes towards the trigger. And we just kind of have to jiggle that until the spring fits around it. Okay, just like that. Take my little tiny end cap, float it on, push it on. Now because it's just one rim right there, I'm going to have to use a brush or a plastic object. There we go. And we'll make sure it's unloaded. We'll do our function check. It is unloaded. Okay, so discharge it, finger still held down on the trigger, let go, click, and then shoot again. That's it. Okay, so that is how you disassemble for a field strip and then do a basic cleaning of the 1911 pistol. Like I said, there's so many different variations, deviations of the Browning design out there, 70, 80 series, full length guide rod. Maybe you need an Allen screw or something like that, or a Allen wrench to get your guide rod out. Maybe you need a small paper clip if you got a Kimber. Maybe you don't even have a bushing like the TRP and some others. So there's many different variations. I think this is still going to be valuable for everybody else. Last note on that, if you have a carry gun that is a 1911 such as me, I like to take a brush with some oil on it, and I like to brush the oil into the crevices, into the grip screws, everything like that, especially the side that's against my body all day. Okay, so thanks for watching. Comment for questions.